Welcome to The Walk-In, a podcast where doors stay open and stories unfold one conversation at a time. Hosted by Christopher Michael Sean, author, poet, actor, and lifelong student of People and Purpose. Here, you're more than just a listener. You're part of the room, part of the story. In every episode, someone sits down, breathes deep, and shares what drives them, what keeps them moving, and what keeps them dreaming. This is a space for dreamers, doers, and those still finding their way. So pull up a chair, pour something warm, and let's take a walk into the soul.
Dreams. The very thing this podcast has always been about. The world is full of dreamers, but this year I threw myself into a place where dreams are not just cute ideas, they're the fuel that keeps people moving. Late nights of studying, early morning classes, missed meals, extra prayers, long walks to class, and the constant pressure to build a future while surviving the present. That became my life at the University at Albany. But when I introduced my podcast to my peers here, something unexpected happened. They believed in it. They didn't see it as some random side project or some cute hobby. They saw it as a place where dreamers could breathe, be themselves, showcase their talents, and say out loud that they want more from life. And that got me thinking, what is it that keeps UAlbany students dreaming? When I think about dreamers, not even just at the University at Albany, but really anywhere, I think about people who open their minds to something extraordinary. I think about people who allow their talents, their creativity, and their desires to be seen. I've said on this podcast before that I see dreamers as those carrying and holding the torches, and a lot of those torches are dim. A lot of them are dim because the world is dark. The world can be loud, cynical, exhausting, and sometimes cruel. But I see myself alongside people like Dr. Stellar, Anthony Ziello, Ethan, and so many more who've been on this podcast as wayfinders. Not people who tell others how to live, but people who say, hey, I'm not going to choose your path for you, but I am going to help light the way so that your torch does not go out, so that your dream can breathe, so that you do not get lost. And honestly, that ties into UAlbany for me. The campus feels like a lighthouse in the dark. It's like a sanctuary where dreams can breathe. Now, that doesn't mean that dreaming comes easy. Nothing about it's easy. Nothing is free. You have to work, you have to study, you have to sweat, and you have to sacrifice. A lot of students are balancing work, school, family, friendships, relationships, bills, and expectations all at once. Some students have part-time jobs, others have full, and some don't even have jobs. But even then, they're still balancing life. They're still carrying pressure. And if I'm honest, I think the biggest thing students are balancing, it's not even the hours in the day, it's expectation. Because expectation is what really drowns people. It's your father expecting you to live a certain lifestyle, your mother expecting you to get married, your family expecting you to make money, your friends expecting you to become a certain version of yourself. I've met people at the university who want to go into art but felt like they had to go into biology or the sciences because someone in their family told them that it was the only respectable path. I think that expectation can be one of the cruelest things in a student's life because it does the opposite of lighting your torch. It actually dampens it with the tears of what your dreams could have been. And I don't say this like I have a perfect formula. I don't. I live with expectation too. I know what it's like to feel the pressure of what other people think in your life and what it should look like. I know what it is to try and hear your own voice through all that noise. So if you're somebody listening to this who feels crushed by expectation, if you're somebody who feels like everyone around you has a blueprint for your life except for you, I just want to say this. I see you, I hear you, I am with you. As I've said before, to be perfectly human, you have to be imperfect. One of the moments that really changed how I saw this university came through my psychology professor, Dr. Stellar. Before I even sat down with him, I'd been emailing him a lot, giving feedback on lectures, class discussions, because psychology is the degree I'm chasing, and I really care about the mind. I care about mental health, and I care about how our minds work, how they shape us, and how understanding your mind can almost become a cheat code for your life. That ties directly into how I study, because I use gamification, like my Oreo wheel experiment, because I know how my brain works. So when Dr. Stellar invited me to a one-on-one conversation with him, I figured it might be one of those daunting professor meetings, like maybe we're going to talk grades or performance or something stressful. But it wasn't like that at all. His office was cozy, rustic, full of books and warmth, and talking with him felt surprisingly human. It felt welcoming. It felt like sitting down with somebody who genuinely loves what he does. He told me how much he loved teaching, how much he loved sitting down with students from all over the world, and how much he loved UAlbany specifically. He had taught at other schools, he'd even been in much higher administration before, but he stepped back from all that. And the reason he gave was basically because administration was more about money and the system and the noise around all that. He wanted to come back to the students. At one point, he told me that students are the lifeblood of the future. He said students are often smarter than he is. They have ideas, perspectives, and stories that inspire him. He told me that one of his peers had asked him, "How do you keep going in a world that is so loud?" And his answer was simple. He said, "Well, I surround myself with my students. I surround myself with dreamers." Because the reason he keeps going is the same reason I keep going. He surrounds himself with students who want to learn, who want to grow, who want to create a better world. And I surround myself with small dreamers from around the world through this podcast. That is what fuels me. That is what keeps me going. To hear a professor from the University at Albany say that out loud, to hear someone I admire basically confirm that dreamers are worth surrounding yourself with, that honestly did something to me. And there was a moment in media literacy class where I had to present a piece of media important to me and explain why it mattered. And I chose my podcast. Not because I wanted attention, but because it's the most honest answer. My podcast matters to me more than any other piece of media because it's something that I built to motivate people, to give dreamers a voice, and to create a place where artists and creators could simply exist as themselves. I talked about narrowcasting, about how I curate my feed on TikTok and Instagram to find small creators, voice actors, artists, and authors so I can invite them onto the show. I explained how intentional media use helped me turn the algorithm into a bridge instead of just a distraction, and how motivation in media can affect our day to day life, and how the podcast has done that for me, guests, and listeners. What I expected was polite applause. What I got was something else entirely. Instead of questions, my class gave me remarks. They said that I was doing amazing, that they loved that I was giving dreamers a voice. They said that they hoped that I would keep going, and that mattered to me more than I expected, because I'd never really gotten that kind of in person appreciation for the podcast before. Yeah, I've had support from friends, family, online spaces, from people close to me, but hearing peers in a classroom look at my vision, my dream, my podcast, and say they saw something beautiful in it, that gave me butterflies. It made me feel seen. It made me feel heard. And it reminded me that dreamers recognize each other. We are lighting each other's torches in real time. And that also ties directly back to what media literacy has taught me. One of the biggest lessons from that class is that attention is not neutral. Your attention is currency. Your attention is what advertisers want. Your attention is what the algorithm studies. Most students, most people really, they think that they're in control of their media use. They think because they're diving into the things that they love, into their niches, their fandoms, their corners of the internet, that means that they're free. But the truth is, often it works in the opposite direction. The deeper you go into something you love, the more every platform learns what you want, and the more it sells that version of you back to you. I know this because I live it too. I love the amazing digital circus, and because I love it, I see it constantly. Edits, clips, posts, remixes, all of it. The point of media literacy is not to say you'll never be influenced again. It's saying, hey, I'm going to notice the influence, and I'm going to see that it's happening. I know what I'm being fed, and I'm going to give my attention to it. But if dreamers really want to achieve greatness, then they have to understand what they're giving their greatness to. Because if you spend your attention on everything, you will have nothing left for your actual dream. And that is another reason why UAlbany stands out to me. My old college in Oklahoma City was fine, but people went in, they studied, and went home. There was no conversation. It didn't feel alive. At UAlbany, there is a conversation between student and faculty, between idea and opportunity, between where you are and where you want to go. It feels like more than just a learning institution, less office, less white walls and exams, and more like a forge built with calmer fires, where you're not judged for the steel and iron, but for the craftsmanship of how you handle the forge. It is a place where minds can rest and feel challenged, where learning and living can coexist. There is so much here, A huge theater scene, beautiful science research buildings, flyers and posters pulling students into events and opportunities, professors who actually care about the individual needs and futures of their students. There's a pulse here, a sense that students are not just passing through, but becoming something. And I think that's the biggest reason why I would want a UAlbany student listening to this. And I'd want them to feel this. I want them to feel what I felt when I sat down with Dr. Stellar. I want them to feel what I felt when my classmates saw my podcast and believed in it. Because I think for dreamers, the biggest challenge isn't money. It's not always time. It's not always exhaustion. It's not even effort. I think the biggest challenge is expectation, which leaves us wanting to feel seen, wanting someone to look at you and say, I see you, I hear you, I believe in you, I'm proud of where you are and where you're trying to go. So, whether you're someone chasing a biology degree because your family doesn't support your art, or an author drowning in a business degree so you can feel you amount to something, just know that you are worth more than the dollar signs, more than others try to draw into the fog your mirrors, because when the fog dissipates, when time wipes away others' opinions and statements, it's you left there, staring at yourself in the mirror, and that beautiful creator inside of you deserves to be fed the fire and ambition it craves. Because at the end of the day, I think it is what every dreamer wants, every student wants. Someone who believes in them deeply enough that they can believe in themselves a little bit more. And maybe that's what this podcast is about. Maybe that's what this university is about. A place where dreamers can breathe. A place where students are not just earning degrees, but chasing purpose, identity, art, stability, healing, and hope. A place where even in a world that feels dark and noisy, torches can still be lit. So, if you're a student at UAlbany, and you're tired, and you're trying, and you're scared, and you're still carrying your dreams, even when it feels heavy, I just want to say this. I see you, I hear you, and I believe in you. I'm proud of you. Because dreamers deserve that. Students deserve that. And maybe that's what keeps us going. Thank you all for the love and support and the podcast, open mic nights, auditions, and beyond. Keep dreaming, my friends. Keep being real to the version of yourself beyond the fog.
Hey there, this is friend of the show, Anthony Ziello, and I just wanted to say thanks for stepping into the walk-in today. If this episode spoke to you, go ahead and follow the show, and catch us every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern. You can find the walk-in on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you listen. And if you want to hang with our community, come join the Discord. We'd love to have you there. A huge shout out to the Podmatch community for having us with them. Their support for dreamers is unmatched. Until next time, take a breath, stay inspired, and as always, we'll walk together again next week.